Mossad used my system when they went for a really critical mission. Right? That is incredible reference point. Today, if I can give you a weapon sight which weighs 500 grams, which can last 8 hours and which can engage a target at 1 kilometer, that's what you need for your operation.
I read somewhere that in the night vision equipment space, the lion's share of what the Indian Tri-Forces have sourced in the last few years have been from Tonbo. Could you tell us a little more about that?
India as a as a customer in terms of night enablement, right? So this is starting from 2012. So one of the things which we started in 2012 was the initial products that we made were our thermal imaging systems. So these are infrared imaging systems which can see in complete darkness, right? So those are the kind of core imaging systems that we built in 2012. Now, at that time, majority of the procurements which happened in the Northern Command, which essentially is in Udhampur, and a lot of the central procurements, the CRPF, the BSF, the NSG, all the night vision systems in thermal imaging came from Tonbo, right?
Okay.
And fundamentally because in the past, a lot of those systems used to come from outside. They were imported or they were built by Indian PSUs. One of the things which we set out to do at that point was we went to the customer and told them that, look, you are not buying advanced technology because you think that it's very expensive.
Okay.
But what you need to look at advanced technology is look at what's your concept of operations. What do you need it for? If you're going to put this on a rifle, you don't want a weapon sight which weighs 1.5 kgs. You want a weapon sight which weighs 500 grams. And today, if I can give you a weapon sight which weighs 500 grams, which can last 8 hours and which can engage a target at 1 kilometer, that's what you need for your operations. So focus on building that. So over the years, and partly also due to the fact that we did make a lot of these sales to some of our international customers, and that gave a good reference point to the Indian customer, we built a portfolio of these systems which started getting inducted into the Indian Armed Forces. So a fairly large volume, right? And I don't know what the exact percentage is right now, but a significant percentage of infrared imaging equipment in the Indian Armed Forces came from Tonbo at that point.
There's also an interesting story of how the Ministry of Defense officials actually first spotted Tonbo's products, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny, right? It was many years back, and this was in 2012. We built a multi-sensor imaging system which can see in daytime and see at night time simultaneously.
So it's a combination of infrared and
visible,
your normal
right?
visibility.
Because as a human, your eyes can see in the visible spectrum. You can see in daytime. But if I switch off all these lights, you can't see at night time, right?
Yeah.
So, but the problem with traditional infrared systems is while they can see at night time, they don't see color and they don't see texture. So you don't have features which are clear, right? But what if you could see texture, color, and you could also see at the night time and sense heat? Then you essentially can get the best of both. So we built some fundamental technology. So Tonbo owns a patent on multi-sensor fusion systems, and we built this at that time, and we built this to be with very low power. It was an incredible piece of core technology that we built, which is a fusion imager.
Interesting.
Now we built a product around it, and we said, look, who will actually adopt this product, because it is an interesting product. And so we took it to the US, the Navy SEALs and the Special Operations Command, and they bought the first couple of systems in there, right? And they use the system on a couple of exercises.
Okay.
So the Indian Armed Forces essentially had heard about it, and they said, well, and then they were told that, look, it came from this company in Bangalore, in Bangalore, and then we got a call from headquarters saying, why don't you sell these products out to India? And we said, yeah, sure, we'd love to do that. It's just that we've never had an opportunity to actually sell it here, and so that's how it started. So that's how the Indian Armed Forces essentially, they had seen this product elsewhere, and they found that it was an interesting piece of equipment, and they found that it was built by an Indian company, and they wanted to buy it at that point.
But is this a common thing when you are selling to governments and militaries worldwide? Do they always want to see proof points from the like of, say, a US or an Israel?
So we sell to the special forces, we sell to the IDF, we sell to the Mossad.
Okay.
Now that they are not our primary customers at all, right? Our primary customer is the emerging market. India is an important emerging market. India is one of our most important customers. Other emerging markets around the world, right? Whether it's Africa or whether it is Philippines or Vietnam and Southeast Asia. Now, but the problem with a lot of these emerging markets, right, is if you went to them and if you walk in with, a reference point, saying, the US Navy SEAL is my customer. SEAL Team 6 deployed my product, deployed my system when they went to catch Osama bin Laden, right? Or if Mossad used my system when they went for a really critical mission, right? That is incredible reference point, right? And no questions are asked.
Yeah.
Because at that time, so they are so overawed with the fact that this is a product which is being used by best. So our model has been, let's lead with the best in terms of technology superiority, right? Let's build for it. But let's deploy large volumes in the markets which matter to us.
Defense tech is an incredibly long kind of journey. Gestation periods tend to be super long. And how do you as a company prioritize, should we go after IP first? Should we go after R&D first? Should we go after getting the anchor customer first?
So, one of the things, when you start off, right, and especially when you are a startup, is you are completely footloose and fancy in terms of what you choose to build, right? Because you don't have to worry about shareholders, you don't have to worry about exits, you don't have to worry about other perception, right? So you can focus on building fundamental technology, right? So our goal at that point was forget everything else, and we told our investors, and our investors were good about it. We said, look, defense, if it's taken people like Lockheed, Boeing, 30, 40 years to build and get to where they are, right? If you're building an OEM business out of India, I'll need at least 10 to 15 years to do that, right? So let's not expect that we're going to get results in 3 years, 5 years, right? So you're investing in the company with the understanding that you may not get an exit for the next 10 years, right? We may not make revenue for the next 5 years when we started off 5-7 years. Okay. And we may, and the company, and it might take in a reasonable amount of capital to build intellectual property. And you're building all this in the promise that, yes, you can build all this intellectual property, you'll build a product, you can convince the customer that the product is good for them, and then we'll sell reasonable quantities about it. You'll overcome the stigma that is coming from an emerging market and be able to sell to developed markets. And maybe then you'll be successful and we'll make an exit, right? The good part about our initial investors is that they were willing to back that vision.
Talking about the team that you have, over the last 15 years, have you perfected the model of hiring the right talent for the mission that you are interested with?
So, when we started off, when the company started off also, typically what happened when so let's say you want to build fairly complex systems. These complex systems cannot be built by, people who have just come out of college.
Right.
It needs people who have experience, who have seen it fail, who know what the problems are, because you can build a prototype, but for it to really work in the field, you can learn it the hard way over a 10-year or a 20-year period. But if you want to learn it quickly, you want people with experience, right?
Correct.
Way in countries like India at that time did was many companies like with L&T, Tata, everybody, they said, let's form joint ventures with foreign companies.
Right.
And they figured that if they form the joint venture, the technology will come from the joint venture company and then you will build around it.
Some transferability will be there.
So we said, let's not do that. Why don't we just hire the people who work in those companies?
Okay.
Let's hire talent who come to work for us, who have already done this for 30 years, 40 years. So our initial mechanical systems, our initial optical systems, we hired people who had that kind of experience.
Interesting.
We hired, and we said, let's not, because you don't want to shy away from paying them decent amount of money. You tell them that, look, I'm going to pay you, what would be an Indian fresher's salary, and you come and do this. You're not going to get great experience, right?
Yeah.
So hire them, pay them Silicon Valley salaries, get them excited about it. You don't need a lot of them, but you need a critical mass of people.
So these would be expats.
Expats. Let them come every month here. Let them train the next batch of people.
Finally, as a defencepreneur, what keeps you up at night?
Nothing, actually. I sleep like a baby. If I said anything otherwise, I would be, untrue. Okay. I do sleep like a baby, and I think I sleep like a baby fundamentally because, from a company point, right? I mean, see, typically people have a lot of things keeping them aside because you're worried about, is a company, I mean, are they, are they doing the right thing? I mean, are the people, do I need to manage fires? People manage these fires without me interfering in it, right? If what I do in it, I would interfere. They do a great job, right? So we have a fantastic team. So your job has got to be hire the right team, trust them to do their job, right?
Right.
And if they did that, you as a founder don't need anything to worry about.